Okay, hello guys. I know if you have been following my journey, I am a widow and I am a single mom of one. And so it took me a while to try to be able to tell the story on how I became it, but I think I'm ready to share it. And so, just to give a backstory for those who don't follow me or know what's going on, my husband, he passed away last year in October 23rd, and he passed away from pancreatitis, which is basically inflammation in the pancreas. And with him having that, it caused him to have other issues with his organs, which they completely ended up shutting it down. And he dealt with that for 3 years since he was in the military. That's how he contracted that disease. And the doctor gave him high blood pressure medicine because originally he had went in for a sprained ankle, but they saw his blood pressure was high, and so they ended up giving him that medication. I think it was called hydrochloroquine. I gotta look it up again, but what happened that basically he had a reaction to that medication and it ended up getting him pancreatitis. And so we dealt with that for 3 years, and even when I got pregnant in 2021, we dealt with that, and it was a tough pregnancy because dealing with him and his illness, and then on top of me being pregnant, it was a lot on both of us. So the stress did not help him in any way. And sorry, excuse my voice, it's a little raspy. But throughout the years, he's been trying his best to fight it. It's just over the years, it just started to get worse and worse, and we didn't expect it to decline the way it did, especially his last moments in the hospital, because usually when he goes to the ER and gets admitted, he'll probably stay at least a couple weeks. The most he had stayed was close to a month, but they usually let him go home. And they had told him that he was supposed to go home that Tuesday, but his kidney functions were just terrible. It wasn't functioning, and we didn't understand what was going on because he was just doing fine like a couple days before, and then his body just started declining. And the thing is, he knew he was going to pass. He just... Okay, sorry, the video I cut off, but where was I? So he knew that he had pancreatitis and it was getting worse, and he knew he had damaged his liver really bad, but he kept that from me because he knows I'm a crybaby and I'm emotional and I worry so much. But at times I do wish he had told me that his health was really declining, because it would prepare me more mentally for that moment when he passed. But he just wanted to protect me. And at first, I know it's part of the grieving journey, I was angry at him for a while because I was like, why didn't you just let me know so I can at least prepare myself, where I could have done something better? But now that I look at it and now that I thought about it more, I see he was just trying to protect my feelings, and he was just basically looking out for me. And so it has been tough. We have a 3-year-old now, and he missed her 3rd birthday party because he passed away, unfortunately. But over the years, I was basically like his caregiver, and I was just helping him, trying to get him back healthy, but it just wasn't successful, unfortunately. And that's what another part of the grieving process. I do feel guilt. At first, I felt guilty like a lot of times, like almost every day, because I felt like I could have done more, or I should have been more, I guess, more attentive to his condition, because sometimes I know I let my emotions and my tiredness take over because I was dealing with trying to help him out, and then also raising our daughter and trying to deal with her too, and then on top of that, work, and then military life. And so it was a lot on me, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And so like it, just seeing him decline and seeing like there was nothing I could do to help him, it was affecting me. So I guess that's why sometimes I would push away and just try to get away from the problem. But that's when now I feel sometimes that guilt, because I should have been there more for him, knowing that his condition was just taking over his body. But like I said, I didn't know it was to the point that he was going to pass. And some days, yeah. Okay. So some days, yes, it affects me still, but it's not as bad as how it was at first, because like every day I was a wreck. Like I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to really eat. I didn't want to talk to nobody. I always distanced myself. I noticed my emotions towards my daughter. I would snap easy, and it wasn't her fault, because I know also she's going through her own emotions, even though she's too young to understand. She does feel, I know, that she is missing her father, because she doesn't have that father figure right now. And they had a very tight relationship, even though she was young, but they still had a really tight father and daughter relationship. And so I had to do a lot of praying, and of course I go to grief counseling, and then I talk to all my loved ones and those who support me to try to help me through this. And I can say now I am getting a little more comfortable being able to tell this story. Because at first, right now, I would be breaking down and crying, like, because I am a crybaby. But now I'm to the point where I know that I can handle telling this story, so I could be able to help others, who may be going through something similar that I'm going through. But just to be able to help them show that if I can get through it, then that you can get through it. And it's still difficult at times. Like I said, I mean, I'm still going to continue to have my moments. That's normal in grieving. And I'm just still dealing with anxiety and depression, of course, but I'm working on it. And it is getting a little better over time, but it's going to still take a process to get through it. And so I'm just trying my best to try to navigate through this new journey of life, because no one expects to be a widow, especially at a young age. And then I never even expected that I would be a single mom either, because I always wanted the fairy tale dream family and, having that fairy tale dream. But unfortunately, God chose a different path for me. And so that's another thing that plays a part of my strength, is having that relationship with God, because without him, I would not know where I would be, honestly. And I know out of this whole situation, the biggest blessing that God has given me through this was my daughter, because she is actually the one who's really helping me with my strength and helping me get through this. So that is one thing that I'm glad that my husband did leave me with. I'm glad he left me with a gift that I will forever have in my life, because without her, this whole process would be even harder. And so I see her look at me, and I don't break down in front of her, because I just don't want her to see her mom. I don't know. I guess for me, I feel it's a sign of just weakness, but I try not to break it down in front of her. I mean, she might see a tear or two sometimes, but most times I just try to hold it in, and I want to show her that her mom is strong, and then that when she gets older, she will be able to handle any type of obstacle or trial that's thrown her way. And so I'm doing my best. Of course, I do have help as well, and I appreciate the help from my loved ones. But I am trying my best to try to raise her as being a single mom, and without letting my emotions take over and affect my motherhood with her. And so I'm just really trying my best. Like I said, this is not easy at all. And for those who know me, they know I'm like a type of person who's always joyful and happy. And in my sorority, my line name is Joyful Spirit, because everybody knows me as being that happy person, always smiling. And so I know a lot of people behind the scenes, they always see me in my pictures or always see me out smiling, but deep down I do have scars. And I try my best not to show those scars, but I know eventually I just have to find a way to just release, so I won't hold it all in. And that's another thing. Since my husband has passed, I haven't actually had time for myself, because I've always been on the go or working or dealing with my daughter and keeping her busy. And I know that plays another part too, but that's something I'm also working on, is focusing on myself too, because I need to focus on this healing journey. So if it is time for me to have a chapter 2, I want to make sure I am ready for that individual, and I want that individual to be able to understand that even though I am ready for my chapter 2, that I'm still going to grieve my husband, because my husband was a good man and he took care of me and his family. And so I know nobody's not going to be close. I know nobody's not going to be close to my husband, not even close, because everybody's different in the way they love and how they care for you. And so my husband, he was a really good man, and he's one of the rare ones who actually did love and care for me. And so I'm thankful that he did show me what it is to be in love. I'm thankful for that he did choose me to be his wife. And I'm just thankful that I was able to experience the time I did with him, because like I said, it was a rough 3 years, and even though we didn't really get to enjoy our marriage like we wanted to, we still had good times through it all, and we still enjoyed each other's company. And no matter how difficult things were, we still stuck it out, and we did vow to death do us part. And unfortunately, that's the way that we had to get separated, was through death. But I can say that I am thankful that God blessed him in my life, because it did teach me a lot of lessons, and it helped shape me to the woman I am becoming and still becoming. And so I just hope one day I will be able to continue to keep having the strength to share the story to other people, not just women, even to men as well, who are going through their own journey of losing a loved one or a spouse. And so I just want to thank you guys for listening, and just continue to keep praying for me and my daughter, and just for the strength, because we still need it. But we are thankful that we are still fighting through this, and just continue to follow my journey. And Thank you guys. Bye.